Guy Radio Players presents... It's the George and Pudgy Show. Starring Milt Stiltskin as George Coinbridge. Co-starring Bill Dookie as Pudgy Coinbridge. Also starring Schmitzy Puldunka as Maggie Coinbridge. And Margaret Meadow Muffin as Mildred Coinbridge. Along with Peter Peters as Felvin Snoots. Percy Tinkles as Edward K. Murrow. And the man of 101 voices, Thark Marlin. The World Tour, Episode 5. How many rocks of Gibraltar are there, or what do pirates have to do with it?
This is the Gumshoe Radio Network. This episode of the George and Pudgy Show is brought to you by Samuel's Sewer Sucking Service. No one likes to talk about sewer problems, but even fewer people like to deal with a sewer backup. That's where Samuel's Sewer Sucking Service comes to the rescue. Our trained professional crew will show up on time, smartly dressed in suits and fully prepared to fix and clean your worst sewer problems. So remember, the next time you have a sewer problem, you can trust the man in the sewer sucker suit. That's Samuel's Sewer Sucking Service. And by the makers of Mrs. Marshall's magnificent wonderwear. It puts the wonder in your unders. It never tears, it self-cleans. Mrs. Marshall's Wonderwear. When we last left George and Pudgy, the gang had gotten kicked out of the Tower of London. Will Felvin still be the tour guide? What will happen at Stonehenge? Let's tune in and find out.
And Mr. Murrow thinks I'm the useless one.
That's enough from you, Narvel. You're only 3 sandwiches from being the full picnic. Consider yourself lucky to still be here. From now on, George and Pudgy, leave the singing for when you're in the shower. This was an unnecessary lesson and completely avoidable. Now let's try and get through the rest of the day without being removed from any more historical sites. We're on our way to Stonehenge. Can I count on you two to behave?
You can count on me, Mr. Murrow, sir. I promise not to sing anymore.
Me too, Mr. Morrow. I promise that me and George will do our best not to be of any consequence as a result of us being here.
Nicely said, Pudgy.
What can I say? Sometimes it just rolls off my tongue like it was water or something.
Now that I'm beginning to know you people, I'm really starting to question how good of an idea it was to take you on this trip.
Somehow that made me feel better.
Well, it's not like you really had a choice with us winning the contest and all.
We have very much arrived at Stonehenge.
This is a very interesting place. What can you tell us as a group about Stonehenge, Schubert?
Word is, this is where the caveman invented dominoes.
Do we get to push the first domino?
If you want to be on the first flight back to LaGuardia, be my guest.
It just so happens that it consists of an outer ring of vertical saucen standing stones, each around 13 feet high, 7 feet wide, and weighing around 25 tons. They're topped by connecting horizontal stones, and inside is a ring of smaller blue stones. Inside of those are freestanding trilithons, 2 bulkier vertical saucens joined by 1 lintel. The whole monument, now ruinous, is aligned towards the sunrise on the summer solstice and sunset on the winter solstice.
Wow, you amazed even me on this one, Mildred. How do you know all that?
I just can't believe it, Mildred. It's not that you're not smart, but who knew? You know so much about Stonehenge.
I'm rather taken aback by your knowledge on this, Mildred, and I must say it's admirable that you seem to be the one with the right answers.
Why don't you make her the tour guide then?
You could replace old Snoots over there with no problem, Mildred. How is it you know so much about Stonehenge?
read it on a travel brochure back at the hotel. It was on the table in the room.
Now that's my Mildred.
So, Mildred, which one of these is the Rock of Gibraltar? I thought there was only one.
I'm sorry, George. The brochure didn't say. I don't know anything about the Rock of Gibraltar being in Stonehenge.
Hey there, old chap there.
Uh-oh, here it comes.
Another bloody American tourist. I suppose you want to know who built Stonehenge.
Nah, I don't care about anyone building stuff. I just want to know which one of these rocks is Gibraltar.
Is this some kind of a joke?
Does it sound like I'm joking to you?
Hey, take it easy there, Georgie boy. Remember, we're just visitors in a foreign country a long way from home.
Pudgy is right, George. Both of you made a promise to Mr. Morrow not 5 minutes ago not to cause any trouble. Remember? Now let's catch up to Mr. Morrow and Snoots.
I still think that guy has one coming to him.
George, I already said it to you nicely. What is wrong with you? Here we are in England at our first stop, and so far you've kissed the parking lot at the Savoy, got us kicked out of the Tower of London, and just now almost got into a fight with a total stranger? And did I already say this is just the first stop on this world tour? Don't make me give you a knuckle dusting, mister. I'll fatten your lips so fast it will make your head spin.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry, Mags. I guess I'm just still a little tired from the trip here. We haven't had much time just to relax. Mr. Murrow keeps making us rush around to places that are all in the wrong spot.
Yeah, so far things haven't been all that great. No circus at the circus, got kicked out of the tower, and now some schmuck tries provoking George into fighting.
Stop complaining, Pudgy. None of us had much sleep. You don't have to keep reminding us.
You would think that they would have a sign or something to point out which one of these is the Rock of Gibraltar.
George, I believe that the Rock of Gibraltar is British territory at the mouth of the Mediterranean. It also happens to be our next destination. We should all load into the car and have ourselves an old-fashioned English lunch. Say, driver, would you happen to know where there's a quaint little pub around here where we could get a bite and a lot of alcohol?
There are plenty of pubs in these little villages. I'm sure we can find one of your liking.
I'm so hungry I could eat a horse.
Horse meat is very hard to find here. You would have to go to France for that.
I'm not waiting that long. If I see a horse anytime soon, I might just kill it and eat it myself. I might not even kill it. Hey, look over there. That says the Coinbridge Arms. We gotta stop there.
We got 8 Coinbridge Arms in the car. Why do we gotta stop?
Give it a rest, Pudgy.
Oh my, the Coinbridge Arms. George, we have to stop and at least get our pictures taken.
Well, we might as well stop here and have lunch in the pub. One place is as good as the next, right?
I am not knowing about this one. The Coinbridges are historically known to have been privateers turned to thieves and pirates, but that was a long time ago. It is probably safe for you to go in.
Didn't Mum say something about Coinbridges coming from royalty?
Well, I suppose if the government pays you well, that's a bit like royalty.
Wonder if they got sarsaparilla on tap.
Before we go in, here, Felden, take the camera and get the 4 of us standing under the Coinbridge Arms sign.
And then after we get the picture, you can give me a boost so I can get the sign.
I am not spending the night in a British prison on your account, Pudgy, and the sign isn't covered under tour expenses.
Gee, can't you take a joke?
No, but we could take the sign.
Okay, Get a little closer now. Okay. Say cheddar.
You guys better settle down. I'm telling you, I can see bad things happening.
Relax, Mags. We're on vacation. Let's have a little fun. Me and Pudgy aren't causing any trouble.
Yet.
What'll it be?
There'll be menus as soon as you bring them.
Turn your head and read. It's on the board, you dolt.
I want to try the fish and chips. What kind of fish is it?
It's the kind that isn't swimming any longer.
Now, listen here.
Let it go, George. Just smile and order the fish. I'll have the bangers and mash.
Is the shepherd's pie made with real shepherds?
No, it's made with American tourists that ask stupid questions.
Hey, we aren't as stupid as you think. Our last name just happens to be Coinbridge, like it says on the door.
I wouldn't go around bragging about being a Coinbridge. At least not while you're here, anyway.
Fine, I'll have the shepherd's pie and later I'll eat crow.
I want something sweet. Can I just have the Yorkshire pudding that comes with the roast dinner?
Whatever suits your fancy, man.
I'll have the fish and chips also, and 5 pints of beer.
That's nice of you, Mr. Morrow.
They're for me, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
And which ale will you be having?
Does it really matter at this point?
Not to me.
I think I'll just sit in the car to get away from this nonsense for a bit.
All right, here we go. 2 fish and chips, a banger and mash, a Yorkshire pudding, a shepherd's pie, and 5 pints for a thirsty one.
Excuse me, miss, but there's been a mistake. Someone has given me a popover instead of a pudding.
That popover is your pudding cupcake.
Well, they sure do things differently here in England.
You're telling me? I ordered fish and chips and I got French fries instead of chips. I wanted chips.
Yes, those are your chips right there.
No, these are French fries. I want chips.
Oh, you want some crisps then?
Oh, I want chips.
Jesus H. Roosevelt Christ, you've got chips on your plate.
No, you've got a chip on your shoulder and someone needs to knock it off.
Oh, Nigel, we've got ourselves a couple of genuine American-bred Coinbridges there.
What's going on here? Do we have a problem?
They're stirring up trouble just like the rest of the Coinbridge clan did in 1657. Half of them were hanged and the rest turned tail for the fastest ship to America.
Do I need to show these blokes the door the hard way?
Well, you're gonna have to go through me first, Winston.
Come on, George, can't you just shut up and eat your fries?
I'll give it to you. You two have a lot of bollocks coming in here to start. Now I'll give you gents 2 choices. You can sit here quietly and enjoy your chips, or enjoy the English countryside face first.
How about you just clam up and bring my brother what he ordered?
Alright, that's enough of you. Out you go. Ah, Constable Twibbles, how fortunate you should happen by just now. It seems the two hooligans I have deposited unceremoniously onto the sidewalk are none other than two coin bridges, come here all the way from America just to cause trouble in our pub.
Coin bridges, you say? I've heard stories about your family.
All right, you two get up on your feet. This way, you two are going to spend the night in the comfort of Her Majesty's lock and key. I believe a charge of breaching the peace will keep you confined until tomorrow morning when you'll see the magistrate.
You two are to be fined the sum of £100 sterling. Until now I've never met a coin bridge, and I never expected to. However, now that I have, it seems to me the stories of the coin bridges and their paws, propensity for rabble-rousing, is as true today as it was in 1657.
That's a bunch of cocky poppy.
I believe he wanted to say poppycock, my lord.
Do not speak to me as if I was daft. I'm perfectly aware of what the defendant was trying to say. I've ordered both defendants to pay a fine of £100 each. If they can't pay, then I'll jail them both for a period of 30 days.
We'll pay.
See the court clerk on your way out. You may leave now. Right now.
I can't believe you two didn't get your heads chopped off.
No kidding.
Hey, Georgie boy, this was the first time we've gone to jail and paid a fine for disturbing the peace in another country.
It was worth it. I paid the fine out of our 1,000 clams that we won on the scavenger hunt.
All of you, just shut your traps. Just shut it. There is nothing funny about this, people. This trip has been a disaster from the start. The first thing after arriving here, Smelvin, our world experience travel guide over there, almost got us killed driving us to the wrong hotel. Then you two mental midgets managed to get us kicked out of the Tower of London, acting like you're Kate Smith at Carnegie Hall. And then right after I specifically asked if you two were going to behave, how did you respond to that small request? You almost get into a fight with some guy over which stone was the Rock of Gibraltar, while we were at Stonehenge. Then, without hesitation, you proceeded to get yourselves arrested in a pub, all because you raised a big stink over potatoes. Potatoes! I've hired a crew to go back to the Savoy Hotel to gather all the broadcasting equipment as well as all of our belongings. We're going to meet them back at the airport and set up to broadcast before we leave on our flight to Gibraltar. You folk are going to give me the best interview in the history of broadcasting. Do you understand me? When I make my broadcast back to the States, you folks had better be at the top of your game. No fighting or mumbling, no useless nonsense. Have I made myself crystal clear, or do I need to make a note and pin it to your shirts?
Will Mr. Morrow have to pin notes to the gang's shirts? Will they make it to Gibraltar? Tune in next week for the George and Pudgy Show. This episode of the George and Pudgy Show is brought to you by Samuel's Sewer Sucking Service. No one likes to talk about sewer problems, but even fewer people like to deal with a sewer backup. That's where Samuel's Sewer Sucking Service comes to the rescue. Our trained professional crew will show up on time, smartly dressed in suits and fully prepared to fix and clean your worst sewer problems. So remember, the next time you have a sewer problem, you can trust the man in the sewer sucker suit. That's Samuel's Sewer Sucking Service. And by the makers of Mrs. Marshall's magnificent wonderwear. It puts the wonder in your unders. It never tears, it self-cleans. Mrs. Marshall's Wonderwear.